With Kayla Miracle, the Hawkeye Wrestling Club, 62 kilograms.
Yes.
How did you get your start in wrestling?
So my dad was a coach and my brother wrestled, so I was just kind of around it as a kid, and I got bored, and I was like going to the practices, going to the tournament. This stinks. I'm like climbing the ropes and doing all those things, but I was like, I want to do this. So I asked my mom, and she was like, yeah, go for it. Like, I know you'll be like on the mat rather than like under the bleachers, like doing crazy things during the tournaments, you know? So she's like, go for it. And then I asked my dad, and he wasn't as on board as she was. And took him a little bit. He let me try it. He was like, all right, tried to get me to quit. Made practices really hard, but I loved it. And that was when I was 4. So here I am at 23. So
where did you wrestle in college?
in college, I was in Kentucky at Campbellsville University. So I wrestled there for my 4 years, and then my dad was actually the head coach there as well. So
What was it about the Hawkeye Wrestling Club that kind of drew you in?
So I'm sure you've heard maybe from Forrest or whatever the story of us getting here. You know, we all just came out here to train and hang out with Allie 4th of July weekend right before we had to go to Spain. And we just loved it, you know, the intensity in the room, and then just awesome coaches, you know, the accolades, the way they treat you, the way they talk to you. You know, you're a real professional here, and they treat you like that, and it's awesome to see. You get, you know, your medical staff, and you have your strength and conditioning coaches, so you have every little aspect that you could ever want or need, like right here. But then when I went for that week, we went over to Spain right after, and we never said, like, we were like, yeah, this is really cool. We talked to Tom a little bit, like, what do we need to like make this happen? But it wasn't set in stone. You know, we weren't like, all right, I'm moving this day. You know, I still had to graduate. I still had another semester left. So Perry went over to Spain. He was coaching, I think, Corey Clark and maybe another guy with HWC. But they wrestled first, and then they were supposed to leave the day we wrestled. And he changed his flight so that he could stay and coach us. And that spoke volumes to me. You know, he is away from his wife and kids and willing to like stay overseas a little longer and coach us and be in our corner and work with us and do whatever he can to help us. So it's just like that selfless attitude. Just really makes you love HWC.
How has HWC grown your wrestling? I mean, it's a whole different ballgame going from college to international. How has HWC helped you?
Well, I think I've always had really good coaches, but I think there's a different mindset and like having a different approach to wrestling, or like the different minds. Like Mark Perry has a very interesting mind, like the way he thinks about wrestling and the way he talks about wrestling. It's just, he's different, he's unique. And so having that, or having Tom or Terry, you know, like having those perspectives really add into your wrestling, and you can see things from a different light and maybe respect it more than like hearing the same thing from my dad, but your college coach, and you know, you're just like, okay, yeah, like I need to do this, but it's, when is that going to click? And so hearing it from, you know, an Olympic gold medalist, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right, I need to do this. But just that individual attention that we get, you know, one-on-ones, things like that, I think that has really changed the game. And I just hear their voices when I'm on the mat all the time. I just hear Terry Brand's, like, if I'm in on a shot, just horsepower, and I'm like, oh, I have to finish a shot. Like, I can't be lazy like I used to, and I used to get so extended. And so just like little things like that, or I'll be wrestling and my arm's hanging, and I'll just hear Perry like, what's your right arm doing? I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. Like, working to a tie, things like that, rather than being like, so just they get me, and they know exactly how to coach me and exactly what to say and when to say it. So that's been like a huge difference, like the growth.
What do you think needs to happen to grow women's wrestling as a whole? D2 and D3 just approved women's wrestling. In April, Division I's going to have a vote, I think. Here in Iowa, we're trying to get girls high school wrestling sanctioned. So I guess like maybe starting with young to college, what needs to happen in your opinion?
So I think, you know, starting them young, getting good coaches, supportive coaches that aren't going to baby them because they're girls, but also not run them out because they're girls. Just treat them like athletes, and try and like build them up from there. That's going to help to like build our college programs and then our international scene. But I saw somewhere maybe on Twitter that Iowa women's wrestling has grown like 300% in the last year or so, and that's just crazy. So if more states could do that, promote it and like be proud of it, we're gonna have girls popping up all over wanting to be the next Helen or the next Adeline, things like that. So, but then also just showing what we do on that senior side and internationally, and the opportunities that we've been given. It's pretty cool. I've been to a lot of cool places, a lot of cool countries, met some really awesome people, and it definitely wouldn't have happened if I didn't wrestle. So doing that, and then I think just allowing competition to continue to grow. So college right now, they're kind of doing that NCAA and NAIA split, and for me it's a little frustrating. I think if they're still competing, it's like almost too small to split right now. We need a little bit more power until we can really break it off. But and even if you want to have your NAIA nationals and your NCAA nationals, that's awesome. But still compete within each other, because I'd love to see the number one NAIA team and the number one NCAA team go head to head, because that's people are going to want to watch that. That's what people want to watch. They don't want to watch JV teams going at it. They want to see the best of the best. They want to see Iowa versus Penn State. So however we can do that and get those big matchups and those big duels, that I think that can help promote our sport.
In my opinion, duels have just a whole different atmosphere than tournaments. What would maybe be your preferred crowd to wrestle in front of?
I would love to wrestle in front of Harbor Hawkeye Arena. Now that I live here, I wrestled there in 2016 at the Olympic Trials. Actually, I wrestled Allie, I think, in the quarters of that. So it's kind of funny, about 4 years later, we're teammates going into Olympic Trials. That's going to be now at Penn State. So I would love to be able to do that, and if we could do some super matches, along with a duel like this, if we could bring in someone like a foreigner or a number 2 girl or whatever, and have a couple girls freestyle matches right before, it can promote it, give the fans something else to see, and just like give us an awesome opportunity, because when are you going to get like 16,000 fans in one little room, so that would be awesome. But ideally the crowd that I want to be in front of is that Tokyo crowd, 2020, under the lights for the Olympic gold. Like, that is what I'm going for. Yeah.
Last thing, you mentioned the big duel tonight, 1 versus 2. What's your prediction? How do you see this shaping up?
Definitely. Hawks by a million, But I think it's going to be good. I think there are a lot of really tough matches. 65 and 74 are the big ones. But you've got, like, what is Spencer going to do? Is he going to score 20-something points, or is he going to go for the ball and get some more team points? Austin DeSanto, he looked super awesome last Friday. Is he going to do that again? RBY is tough, and they've had some close matches, but I think DeSanto is going to do awesome, because DeSanto is awesome. And then Happel's in at 41. I think Happel's really awesome. He's not our number 1 guy, but it's just the depth of this team is incredible, that we can have to have someone out for whatever reasons, and we're still strong. We're not marking a loss just because he's wrestling. I don't even know what Lee's rank. I think 2, maybe, but that's not a definite loss. I think Happel, he's stuck in it with Fletcher, and I think he can do the same exact thing. So I think down the lineup, I think the Hawkeyes, they're just great, but then also you have Harbor Hawkeye Arena, so you get all that energy. They were looking, and the energy was really awesome in the room. So I think it's going to be a really good night. I'm excited for it. So.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time, Kayla. Thank you.
Anytime.